Welcome, foolish mortals. It's your ghost host with the most, Tiki here.
And BlueDragonFive, here to engage in some haunted holiday hijinks by trudging through the catacombs and dusting off the cobwebs as we recount our spooky selection of Halloween classics.
So light the jack-o'-lantern, suit up, and grab the candy dish. As we revive and recount tonight's selection, Disneyland's Haunted Mansion.
And laugh.
And listen, I don't take my clothes off for anyone, even if it is artistic.
All right. Oh, God, guys, this is a bucket list podcast if there ever was one. Tonight we are talking about Disneyland's Haunted Mansion. Oh, my God. How you guys all doing?
And all right.
Yeah, I don't think
we almost did this once a long time ago.
Yes, a long time ago, but then a certain someone backed out at the last minute. Someone who's not here to defend himself right now.
Yeah, but also it's like we did go live, just the two of us.
Oh, you're right. That's true. My God.
And you were, what was it, stomach pains or something?
Stomach pains, yeah, and then I deleted it. Yeah, you're right, Monkey.
Yeah.
So we're finally getting around to it. Thank God we didn't go ahead with that because, my God, folks, this is a great subject to kick off.
The only thing that will make this better is if we waited till next year when it turns 50.
Oh, God damn it! We probably should.
Hold on, did you introduce us? You're a co-host here.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah. Okay, in this corner we have Mr. SandyClaws.
I'm sure, Tiki.
I know. How you doing,
hi.
Sandy?
Yeah, I'm the one who suggested this, and I forget to answer. Yet I'm hi. Hi, I'm here.
All right, we have Monkey with us.
Yeah, hi.
You know him, you love him. It's Jacob Wile.
Hello,
we go
everybody.
wild for him.
It's feeling extra spooky.
Yes.
And then, of course, the man of the hour, the disembodied voice himself. It's BlueDragonFive.
Ooh. Yes.
All right. So, folks, we got a lot to get into. So, basically, what we're going to do is we're going to run down the history, the urban legends.
Graves.
Yeah. We're going to run down the history, the urban legends, and basically all the beat-by-beat facts of Disneyland's Haunted Mansion. So this might take some time. So let's get right into it. Of course, as you guys all know, Walt Disney's Haunted Mansion started life on Main Street, USA. Of course, this wasn't a built concept per se, but Walt always envisioned a spooky house off to the side of Main Street for it was going to be a walkthrough attraction.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this all changed when the New York World's Fair rolled into town, and this kind of put all the production on halt. The Tiki Room was actually the last big thing done at Disneyland before the New York World's Fair.
Oh, yeah.
And then the animatronics in the Tiki Room kind of catapulted into the New York World's Fair with stuff like Mr. Lincoln, Carousel of Progress, etc. And then coming back from New York World's Fair, Walt really wanted to do something different with this park. He really wanted to do an expansion, like an even bigger expansion than the Fantasyland expansion of 1959, which introduced the submarine voyage, the Matterhorn bobsleds, and the monorail into the park. He wanted to create a whole new land. And that land was going to be New Orleans Square, and thus a giant hole was dug in the middle of Disneyland. Just
Was
a
it
giant
6
hole. And Walt teased this giant hole. You know, construction walls were up. Walt would talk about the hole. He'd be like, now you know what's going into that giant hole there. It's going to be New Orleans Square. But before New Orleans Square was finished, there was a spooky facade of a haunted house at the
Did
end.
it go up in 63?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, 63, I want to say.
Yeah, it's where Walt had Charles Mintz buried.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so at the end of Frontierland, there was this spooky old house. But importantly, Walt wanted the ghosts to take care of the inside while the outside looked pristine and clean. So there was something off about the house, but Disneyland visitors for years, until 1969 and the attraction's opening, for years, they would just walk by this house and be like, what the hell is going on with that house? Why can't I go in this house? This looks like it obviously looks like something. What's going on here? It was shrouded in mystery.
That's a really unique way to do that.
Could you guys imagine a theme park doing that nowadays?
It would never happen today, but it's amazing.
Like, oh yeah, guys, we're just going to raise a facade for a ride that we're going to finish, I don't know, 6 or 7 years from now.
It's pretty awesome, though. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some kind of reference I can make for that in regards to theme park history.
Okay, so
famous never built attraction.
So basically, what resulted was a cavalcade of different ideas, mostly from 3 Imagineers: Mark Davis, Claude Coates, and Ex Intencio, and also Rolly Crump on the side, but that's a whole different side thing we're going to get into momentarily.
Was Ken Anderson in there as well?
What?
Was Ken Anderson?
Oh, Ken Anderson, of course. Yeah, scratch Ex Intencio because he wrote the script. Ken Anderson and
yeah.
I'm sorry. It's let me get my facts straight here.
Kenny, Mark, and Claude.
Yeah, so it's Ken Anderson, Claude Coates. They were the ones who were saying, like, let's make this scary. Mark
Davis.
Yeah. Mark Davis. I almost called him Mark Anderson for some reason. Jesus Christ, get a grip on yourself, Tiki. Mark Davis wanted the attraction to be funny and spooky and silly, and this resulted in the funny versus scary war of 1964. We shall call it.
Which ends with Charles Mintz dissolving half the universe.
All right, guys, so let's talk about some unused concepts that went into the Haunted Mansion that there's still some remnants of to this day, but these concepts kind of went out the window. Now, who here knows about the Sea Captain storyline?
Oh, yeah.
I've heard about it.
I'm not familiar with it, but I definitely know what you're talking about.
Well, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think there's like a couple versions of it, but yes, there's a Sea Captain story.
Murdered his wife before he went and basically was haunted by the spirit of his wife. Am I correct in that at all?
Dragon, you're absolutely spot on.
There are some versions where he killed his wife before he went out at sea, or he hung himself, or he drowned at sea.
Or it's like he would keep going to sea, and then while he's out, he finds out he's a pirate, and he happens to come home at that moment. It's like, I'm a pirate now? Not cool. You're dead now. Oh, crap. I killed my love. Shit. I'm gonna go hang myself. I'm dead now. Haunted Mansion.
So it's basically a mix of hanging himself, going out to sea, and killing his wife. That's basically all you need to know. There's no straight set
brutal divorce.
The most brutal.
Yeah, but then this wasn't okay, so they replaced it with a hen auction.
All right, the most brutal version of this was a depiction in which the guests would enter the foyer and they'd see a fireplace, and then the fireplace would start to get bricked off, and then you'd hear the screams of the bride as she's inside the fireplace getting burned alive as the Sea Captain is bricking off the fireplace.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not even making that up. That is something that passed through the Imagineers' minds at one point.
I'm not surprised.
A little impractical, but a cool idea.
Disneyland, a place for families.
It's a family picture.
I was just thinking that.
So obviously with the Sea Captain, there's 2 remnants. One that's kind of obvious and one that's not so obvious. The not so obvious one is the fact that Monkey, do you know this one?
Possibly. Which one are you referring to?
The weather vane?
Oh yeah, totally. The weather vane.
Yeah, would you like to tell him about the weather vane?
The weather vane is a ship.
Yes.
In California.
Yes, in California. So this ties right into the Sea Captain storyline, maybe implies that the owner of the mansion is a sea captain. And obviously the not so subtle reference to the Sea Captain storyline is the hanging body.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the Headless Horseman was going to be involved in this attraction in various forms throughout the years.
This one interests me most, by the way. I love it. I heard this was the first permutation. Is there any truth to that, Tiki? Was this like the first idea they were kicking around, or was it? Do we just not know? Period.
As far as I know, the Sea Captain stuff was the first permutation.
All right.
And then they got kind of lighter from there.
The Sea Captain and the Ichabod idea were pretty much around the same time, though.
Oh yeah.
That sounds like such a great kind of jumping off point, though. Like like we're gonna do a Headless Horseman attraction. It's gonna be kind of creepy, but like an indoor version of a Sleepy Hollow. I don't know. It sounds really interesting to me.
Essentially, the idea of the Headless Horseman version was that you were, and this is kind of an idea that sort of materialized into the actual attraction. Was that it was a celebration, and the only thing missing from the actual attraction was the fact that the Headless Horseman was going to be the guest of honor. So imagine coming down the graveyard and basically imagine going through the graveyard, coming down through the mansion, going through the graveyard, seeing Grim ghosts and everything, and then hearing the footprints, hearing the tap, 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 tap of the footprints. Mm-hmm. And then, and then hearing the laugh of the Headless Horseman, the whole, yeah!
Just don't go into the basement.
Is there a ride based on Disney Sleepy Hollow?
Nope.
No.
Unfortunately.
That's a shame, really. That would be.
And then basically where the hitchhiking ghosts and Oogie Boogie are now would be the Headless Horseman.
Oh. I prefer the hitchhiking ghosts, honestly. It's more original.
I kind of agree, Sandy, but I do like the idea of having this big build-up to the Headless Horseman.
I think it was if they went the entire ride was the scary type of idea they had, then I think that would have worked. But I think the ghost is a nice way to cap off the ride.
I'm actually glad that they went with the whole combination of funny and scary.
I mean, the thing that sounds kind of.
Has anyone drawn the Hatbox Ghost on a horse?
Ooh.
Has anyone drawn him riding a horse? Because then we're kind of there.
That'd be an interesting compromise.
When I heard about this Ichabod Crane thing, it kind of occurred to me like how that would be kind of a brilliant ride idea though. Like you're going into the
and then we can have the horse's head disappear too, and then it reappears in some Hollywood producer's bed.
Sure. No, it's seriously like think about the paranoia like in the third act of Sleepy Hollow, where like Ichabod is like he thinks he hears a noise and he thinks it's the Headless Horseman. It's kind of a fake out, and there you have a bit of your comedy, bit of your, and of course scary right behind it. You kind of have a good blend there with some some well laid kind of paranoia, kind of playing with the guest's kind of expectation. I don't know, it's a little thing, but anyway, yes.
And Headless Man Horse reference here, and yeah.
All right. So, of course, throughout the attraction, we see different ravens. Ezra, you know about this, right?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, we see the different ravens, and originally the raven was supposed to be the narrator.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
His name would have been Edgar.
That would have been pretty neat if they tied it into the Edgar Allan Poe stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Another narrator, and then this is kind of tying into the ghost host of it all. Another narrator was going to be, in the words of Mark Davis himself, a Charlie McCarthy type ghost called the Lonesome Ghost.
I can only imagine.
And this would have been kind of like a wisecracking, like, "Hey, wise guy," I don't really know Charlie McCarthy. Sandy, can you shed some light on this?
Well, yeah, I actually just told you who Charlie McCarthy was a few days ago.
I know, but you just know more about him than I do. So just explain folks.
For the audience here, Charlie McCarthy, if you don't know, was a wisecracking ventriloquist dummy who was featured alongside Edgar Bergen back in the 50s, 40s, I think late 30s, mid 30s.
I believe his last appearance was in the Muppet movie, by the way, which is dedicated to
right.
Edgar Bergen, by the way. It's dedicated to him.
Yeah, in the mid to late 70s, last appearance was in the Muppet movie. So that's look him up, Charlie McCarthy. He's actually in the Smithsonian now, the actual dummy, or one of them at least.
He's going places, that Charlie McCarthy.
All right.
He was in Fun and Fancy Free, right? Yeah,
yes,
he was.
Basically, he's a wisecracker. So a wisecracking ghost host.
And that, of course, materialized into the actual suave, sophisticated ghost host that we know and love today.
Freeze, man, freeze.
Yeah, I don't know if this is the same character, but wait, are we going to talk about a sort of more wedding theme to it? Are we not there yet, or?
Yeah, I was kind of building to that. Rob, do you want to talk about that?
I remember like a flashback to the e-ticket magazine.
Yes, the good old
Yeah, I
e-ticket
remember
magazine.
one they had which like detailed a walkthrough version of the mansion that was centered around a wedding, like visiting for a wedding, and they had this sort of spirit who maybe they said he would have sounded like Peter Lorre, but yeah, he would sort of a ghost host type figure, and he would even like interact with the guests because the guest signed a guest book at the beginning, so that's how he knows your names.
Nice.
And yeah, and then when it was all over, you got a piece of wedding cake on the way out.
Pleasant.
That would be amazing if that helped inspire the Tortilla Factory.
Oh my God, right?
Tortilla Factory Holiday.
Oh my God. All right, let's not get any crazy
Featuring
ideas.
Ernesto de la Cruz.
Remember me while I seize my moment.
Oh,
Oh boy.
Okay, who wants to talk about the Museum of the Weird?
I can speak to it a little bit. He might have to tell me, kind of fill in the blank here, unless someone else just wants to take the reins on it. But Disney, he was wowed by this big time.
Mm-hmm.
I was just watching this thing. It's like where basically Raleigh was basically inspired by like a French Beauty and the Beast film.
Yeah, it was the famous Jacques Cousteau version of Beauty and the Beast.
He's like, no, basically he designed and sketched all this weird architecture and stuff to be used, and like the Haunted Mansion needs to be weird. And like basically when it was time for a meeting, well, they've basically at the end of a 3-hour meeting, Walt Disney said, "Is there anything else left?" They were like, "Nope." And then he said, then Walt said, "What about all that Raleigh stuff in the corner over there?" And then
not fairy tales? No, not that stuff. The other stuff.
And then after deliberating on it, they were like, "See, we told you that he wouldn't like it." It's like, all right. Then the next day, Walt came in and basically like, "You son of a bitch! You didn't make me sleep." Like I was up all night thinking about how you.
Trump came into like, Rowley went to his desk. Walt was there.
Yeah.
Wally went into his desk. Walt was at his desk, and he was wearing the same clothes that he was wearing the night before.
Yes,
and he was like, "You son of a bitch! I couldn't sleep last night. I was thinking about all that weird artwork you showed me."
And he came up with the Museum of the Weird name, didn't he?
Yes, and this is classic Walt Disney here. Walt Disney was an idea guy first and foremost.
There's nothing better than a story that involves Walt Disney unable to sleep or like waking up in the dead of night with an idea. Nothing.
Do you guys know the Carlsbad Cavern story?
And then
I think so. Yeah, I think you've shared it before. Yeah.
And then afterwards, they basically after Walt told them to put to work, it's like, "See, we told you Walt would like it."
So the Museum of the Weird really fascinates me, and I think it's a shame that nothing has been done with it over the years. Like, at the very least, wouldn't you think it'd be a great line of merchandise?
You know what? Speaking of which, do the original maquettes, because I know Raleigh Crump made some beautiful maquettes of all the items he wanted to feature. Do those still exist somewhere in like an archive? Do you know?
Honestly, I have no idea.
It probably does, Sandy, because they do archive all that stuff, and we know the wallpaper made it into the ride. And there was that video of there was that presentation footage that Walt was with Raleigh. I think he was. They were demonstrating kind of the maquette work and the models and everything for the ride. So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe it's in. You can probably see it somewhere there, and then maybe it made it into the archives after that.
I think that should be in a museum somewhere, at least.
Belongs in a museum.
It belongs in a museum.
The Museum of the Weird, exactly. Huh.
Yes.
Or you know what? It'd be a fun Easter egg if they actually had, that library they have in the ballroom. They open up for.
Yes.
They should put those maquettes in the library.
Mm.
Easter egg.
Cool.
Or replicas, at least, not the original. Yes.
They should make the gingerbread house look like that.
They should.
They should actually.
Be neat.
All right. So moving on, I believe that was like pretty much the last unused concept was the Museum of the Weird.
Do you want to talk about the Blood family at all, or do we? Like,
that was part of the the wedding storyline. Basically, the Blood and the Blood-Mere family were marrying each other. It's very weird and convoluted and Shakespearean in nature and soap opera. So I don't really think we have the time to get down to the minutia of it. Dragon, what do you know about it?
Not a lot, honestly. I just I know that I don't believe this is a direct correlation, but I do wonder if I know when Haunted Mansion opened up. I think it's just surely coincidental. I think the Manson murders were actually starting up when the Haunted Mansion opened.
Oh my gosh.
It was a little kind of dark fun
August
fact.
of 1969, yeah, same month at least.
Yeah, I mean, it basically when it was all over the place, like, hey, Haunted Mansion's open. Come on, bring your families.
Basically a lot of death.
Yeah, again, kind of a good. It's like the old age-old Valentine's Day Massacre effect of we open all the horror movies up on Valentine's Day. It's kind of like, hey, come go to our family-friendly theme park when some bad stuff's happening with some families out there.
So, Dragon, I'm glad you bring that up because it's actually kind of a nice transitioning point into the urban legends surrounding the final.
I probably should have asked before we went on air, but are we going to talk about the comic at all?
Probably not, Rob, honestly.
Okay. Okay.
Just because, I don't know where I would fit it into this conversation.
Okay. Comics were a thing that had lore, and I probably still have some of them somewhere. So there we go. That's all our comics.
I know they have lore. I'm just like, with this, I want to focus specifically on the attraction and what's present in the attraction.
Got it.
So, all right. So going into urban legends, one of the big urban legends that I remember hearing my folks talk about when I was a kid is that when the Haunted Mansion first opened, it was so scary that it gave people heart attacks and they had to tone it down.
Oh man, I haven't heard that. Oh man, I haven't heard that in ages. Damn.
Right?
Oh, flashback.
Well, I heard there was a lot of mystique of people speculating what would happen, why the ride was all cordoned off and everything, why the gate was up and everything. A lot of the speculation was the ride was too scary, might have killed the first string of riders.
Can you imagine that ride killing people because it's so scary? I can't imagine that.
Action Park, maybe.
You know what they say? You know what they say? There's always room for one more.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, that's my favorite thing. Really doing kind of a fine-tooth comb kind of look at the Haunted Mansion. I love that the whole 999 ghost idea, and there was always one more that could be 1,000 ghosts. Basically, their idea is someone won't make it out of this ride alive. Yeah.
So basically, it really fascinates me, the idea that in 1969, we had this attraction with this air of mystery to it. And of course, it'd been sitting there for the past 6 years, just that facade. And the only thing we knew was that note that they hung outside a couple of years before the attraction opened. Basically, it was basically a personal ad for retirement home ghosts.
I love that story.
That kind of set the retirement home theme of the attraction.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great idea they settled on there.
It said, contact Ghost Relations Department, Disneyland.
So I obviously don't believe that the attraction gave people heart attacks or anything.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think it's out of the question that there were effects that they needed to tone down.
Like the night. You got to talk about the night.
We're going to get to the night. Don't worry about that.
Sorry, I'm saying I thought it correlated, but they're not get to it. You're right.
No. We're going to get to the night. The night wasn't until the 70s, believe it or not.
Yeah. Really? 70s. Wow.
I thought it was in the 80s or 90s.
No, I'm pretty sure it was 70s, Sandy.
Because there are photos of that.
I thought it was the 80s too. I didn't know it was the 70s.
Man, all kinds of...
Because there is at least one photo of the night scaring a group of writers on the internet.
Wait, you know what? You might be right. It might be the 80s.
It was 82 or something. I thought it was early 80s.
You guys are probably right.
Anyway.
All right, what else you got?
I wanted to
so, of course, we have to talk about the Hatbox Ghost.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sandy, would you like to take the lead on this one?
Oh boy. Sure. Let me turn this phone off quickly.
Aside from a cool design, what can you tell us about the Hatbox Ghost?
Basically, he was a concept that was introduced in the first week of operation at the Haunted Mansion. He was in the original audiobook, the vinyl that they released before the ride opened, or maybe it was after the ride opened. It must have been before because, anyways, he was in there. He was a pretty big part of the story, as you would see him and you'd escape out the window. So that whole part, after the first week, the effect didn't work right. They had to take it out. That was basically a big gap if you had read the story. And he never returned. Nobody ever found the original model, the cast, all the stuff that basically revolved around that Hatbox Ghost disappeared. All the original molds, the figure himself, completely gone. No one ever knows what happened to it. No one's ever going to find him.
Yeah. I mean, there's like a flash picture and some brief bit of video around, but
exactly.
Yeah, those aren't a physical mold.
Yeah, there's nothing. Everything was gone, which is really, really weird because original molds still exist to this day of some of the other characters in the Pirates of the Caribbean, Haunted Mansion rides. Yeah, so he's gone. No one ever found him, and I'm not sure if he would like me to, obviously he returned.
He's gone. No one ever found him. It sounds like the end of Blair Witch or something.
I mean, I do think it's very creepy, just the idea of like this, and it kind of plays into the whole idea of like effects that were so scary that they had to be taken out. Of course, this guy had to be taken out for practical reasons, but it ties into that mythology, though.
I know the fact that nothing revolving around the character even exists to this day. I mean.
It's just the trippy idea of a ghost who disappeared. Like the fictional ghost that actually disappeared like a real ghost. That's kind of
He's so interesting that he has full articles written about it.
Yeah,
I mean, Hatbox Ghost became a full-fledged like internet icon, at least to the Disney fan community.
Yeah, merchandise still existed. He had the Funko Pops and everything like that. But,
and he was also going to be a pivotal character in Guillermo del Toro's Haunted Mansion.
You have to rub the salt in our wounds, son.
And then there was that one at the 2013 Expo, which didn't look quite like the normal guy, like Hatbox normally does, but it was a thing.
How did you guys? What were your thoughts when you finally saw that he was brought back in 2015? Like, I could not believe my eyes or my ears. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah,
I mean, I thought it was an inevitability to a certain extent, but yeah, when they finally did it, of course, the whole thing is like every year when Haunted Mansion Holiday goes down for refurb and transitions back into the Haunted Mansion. Rob, I'm sure you remember this. The whole,
of course.
Maybe
we'll finally get him this year.
Is this the year?
And then at some point, a few months later, it's like something weird happened, like where the spot where he's now, like now there's some wall there and the carriage turns to face the wall now. Like, well, it must be something because that's quite a process to re-affect the rotation. Then they confirm it. Yep, he's coming back. And of course, I was like the 9th person to see him on his first day.
Yes, we have some bragging rights here, folks.
Yeah, that was a lovely ride through the mansion, and of course, it was it was an amazing effect. I mean, it is an amazing effect, but yeah, it's like they finally did it. They pulled it off, and yeah.
Can you imagine being the group of Imagineers that had to bring the Hatbox Ghost back?
I mean, honestly, one of the best designs in the whole ride. There's going to be a lot of pressure on that.
Yeah.
Monkey, weren't you like 5 spots ahead of Adam the Woo or something like that?
Something like that. Like, I was in the same stretching room, but because I know, like, in somewhere, like, in the foyer or something, and in the station, people were like, Adam the Woo! But I wasn't familiar with what he looked like at the time, so I didn't recognize him in the crowd.
Woo down!
And then I actually saw you in his video.
Am I in that one? I know I'm in the Theme Park HD one.
Oh, I'm pretty sure you're in the Adam the Woo video.
Possible.
Check on that. You can get some royalties.
Look, you can probably hear me.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, so like as he starts to go in the ad, you can hear people screaming, and you can probably hear me going, "Yes!" Yes.
Unfortunately, he doesn't appear at the Florida one.
Nope.
Nope, never did. No, Florida had a man in a web.
Now, wouldn't it be just completely just mind blowing if the Hatbox Ghost just randomly disappeared for a year and then
Oh God.
and the Disney park staff, mentioned nothing about it. They couldn't comment on it.
He comes back with some like some shirt that says, "I went on vacation and all I got was the stupid T-shirt." Where did he go?
Right.
Where would he go?
All right, guys.
Panama?
Or they could move into the Florida one. I was in Florida on vacation.
Hey, there we go.
All right, Tiki, here's one. I want you to confirm this if this is like a legend or if this actually happened. The ghost story. Can you,
Oh
guess?
yeah, that definitely happened. That absolutely happened. You can still see the bull holes to this day.
Do we know why a guy with a gun was in the haunted mansion at all? Like why he was shooting up the place?
What?
Rob, do you know anything about that? Like how why the guy was shooting up the place?
Maybe he was.
I think.
I don't remember. Maybe he was drunk or something, or maybe he saw something like freaked out and shot at it.
Ghost! My bullets will stop the ghost.
Okay, hold it, Sandy.
Portraits that Broadway fans are gonna have a field day with after 2015. I'll shoot you first.
Hey, Sandy, come on.
I think I'm not sure where I heard this, but I'm pretty sure what happened was it wasn't a real gun; it was a BB gun.
That could be.
And he
Damn it, Ralphie!
He knew that there was glass there, the ghost reflected on. He was going to try and break the glass, and he couldn't do it. That's what it was. He was just a hooligan.
Okay, in my headcanon now, it is the kid from Christmas Story. That's how I'm going to imagine it.
Peter Billings is just kind of bored nowadays. Like, I
Let's
don't
get the
think it's the
nightmare
kid.
characters in there.
Him and like his angsty years, just like I'm gonna.
Now I can just totally hear the nightmare characters telling him he'll shoot his eye out.
You'll shoot your
eye out, kid. What do you want for Christmas, Sonny? Oh, you'll shoot your eye out, kid.
Okay, so guys, let's get to it. Let's talk about the Black Knight.
Yes.
Ah.
All right. So, what do you guys know about the Black Knight?
Well, the knight that I'm referring to, and I hope I'm not getting the wrong knight here, but you can tell me if
we're talking
otherwise.
the live actor, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, okay, so that is the Black Knight.
Uh-huh.
Okay, yeah, we're on the same page. And so basically, they had an actor who would jump out and kind of like scare people or grab people in the ride. Many a time it would go wrong. Which is why he's no longer around.
Tell me that this Black Knight was played by John Cleese at least once.
Oh God. Yeah, honestly, in light of the whole merely a flesh wound of it all, I find the idea of the Black Knight kind of terrifying.
You mean in the Holy Grail?
No, I mean in the ride, if you're riding the Haunted Mansion and suddenly, I've heard stories of the Black Knight tapping on the ceiling of the Doom buggies and then poking his head out from behind it.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem scary when you're just talking about it, but if you're actually in that ride, in that atmosphere, that would actually be pretty terrifying.
Sounds scary. How about this? Hatbox Ghost's head appears in the Hatbox. He says, "Just a flesh wound."
Or if he's talking about the knight, he says, "Look behind you."
I really want them to bring that night back for
Black Knight scares someone and they scream and then he's like, "Chicken! Chicken!"
Or he says, "Night."
I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that the Knight comes back for a not so scary Halloween party or something like that.
What if it was the Dark Knight?
The Haunted Mansion. How about that?
Yeah. All right, guys, let's actually take the Black Knight seriously because he's one of the scariest urban legends of Haunted Mansion. So let's.
Really? Is he one of the scariest?
Yes. Yeah, he is.
What?
Wow, I would. Okay.
Wait, he's what?
He's one of the scariest urban legends of the Haunted Mansion.
Yeah, I mean, is he a legend? I mean, there was a knight. There was a character knight, so.
No, not necessarily an urban legend, but I'm saying he kind of much like the Hatbox Ghost himself, again, like all these urban legends have basis in fact, right? Like I do believe that there were probably effects in the ride when they first opened that did kind of startle people a little bit too much, a little bit.
Like the pop-up ghost in the graveyard used to scream or something.
Exactly.
You know what? I'm sure that Black Knight actor, the cast member, is sitting back in a comfortable chair, smoking a cigar right now, laughing at all of us.
You foolish mortals.
Anyways,
right.
Carry on, Tiki. Carry on.
So the last thing we want to talk about is a very morbid subject, but it absolutely happens. The ash spreadings.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole, let's just say the mansion has more than 1,000 ghosts now.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I mean, that's all I want to get into with the subject, really. It's just morbid to think about.
There's room for 1,000. Well, okay, but we recorded this in 69 and I'm dead now and Corey Burden doesn't like replacing me, so we're stuck with this audio.
Oh, that's just dark, monkey. Come on. That's just...
Sorry.
All right.
Yeah, so is that all Tiki you wanted to say about the ash spreading?
Unless you guys have anything, I just think it's...
There are the claims that people have seen the ashes of the little boy that was apparently spread in the mansion, sitting on like the banister,
which is freaking terrifying.
That is terrifying, but I honestly don't think it's true.
Like if I ever see ash in that fucking ride, it's just not going to be okay.
It's a good thing there aren't any fans in there. Imagine how horrible that experience would go.
It's like the Big Lebowski goes all over you.
Pretty much, and you'd think it's a ride effect at first, but then you'd see like the reflection of like an urn from the guy in the front on the mover. It's like, oh my god! That's how you kill someone with a fright. If it's not the Black Knight scaring people to death, it's going to be that. It's going to be freaking people like, oh my god!
But I'm guessing if you went through the mansion, how would you know if it was ash or not?
That escalated quickly.
Maybe.
Well, I don't know, Sandy. That's a good question. But like, basically, if I saw dust, I'd be freaked out.
Well, you're.
Well, you see, Sandy, the answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind.
Okay.
I'm
These
sorry.
Are really pretty dark now.
It's going to ashes in my mouth.
Oh my gosh.
Jeez. Man.
Well, people shouldn't be spreading the ashes of their loved ones in the ride anyway, so we can laugh about this.
I don't care how schmaltzy people are feeling. It's illegal. Don't do that. It's not cool.
I mean, really, all it does is just creates a giant cleaning mess.
Yeah, and it's sad because it's like, that was somebody once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyways.
So let's talk about the differences between Disneyland and Walt Disney World. Mostly what Walt Disney World has that Disneyland does not have.
Yeah.
Are we going to get into Disneyland Paris?
No, not this time, Sandy.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's kind of its own monster, isn't it?
Exactly.
No pun intended.
Yeah, it has its own monster.
Yeah.
But
So,
yeah, and of course,
first of
like
all,
I've mentioned before, go on.
So I've got to say, I've always, as a Disneyland local, I've always preferred the look of Disneyland's Haunted Mansion to Disney World. But seeing it in person, like the in-person effect of it, I think works even better at Disney World.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Because there's like a bigger scale to it.
Honestly, I can't say I've been to the Disneyland one because I've never been to California. But I just went to the, you guys know I went to Disney World myself last year, and it was quite different from what I remember when I was younger because I can actually taking in and appreciating all the details. It's like, ooh, instead of like, ooh, another ride, yay! Like, because my sister wanted to ride the Pirates of the Caribbean like several times. And then they're like, yay, another ride that isn't Pirates of the Caribbean.
Like half the day wasted right there because of all the lines. Want to ride it 5 times.
But what happened? But like when I went back like last year, I was like, well, oh man, this is really cool. Like everything was very impressive. I was extremely impressed by it. And it's actually, from what I've read, it's actually a longer attraction than the one at Disneyland.
It is. It is.
I believe it.
Yeah. No, like I've said before, I feel like, say, the way I feel with the two, that, like, say, Disneyland is a bit more Mark Davis-y, and then the Florida one is more Claude Coates-y in their respective tones. So, I don't know.
One of the things that really threw me off about the Florida one was the fact that, like, the stretch room doors open on the other side, and bam, dune buggies.
Yeah. Thanks to the crowd, it takes a while to actually get to them, but still.
Does the one in California still step into the dead center of the room line?
Yes.
All right.
It feels like there's more. I'm sorry.
I was just wondering if that was like standard.
Feels like there's more scary breathing room in the Florida version. You know, it feels like there's like more of a kind of a spooky ambiance. I don't know, because you're right about that scale thing, and I could be crazy, but I'm basically watching some ride POVs to see how up to date. Because bear in mind, it's been years since I've been to the Florida one, so I don't know how. I've now seen what I think how they've updated, but again, it's been a while. No, what's really been changed?
Like, have you been there since 2007?
Well, I guess maybe the last time I was there was probably like 2008, maybe. 2008 or 2010 is probably the last time I've been.
Yeah, the big refurbishment was in 07.
All right, well, I guess. Well, the point, based on the POVs to see what it looks like compared to Disneyland, I wonder if it's, I don't know if it's just like a trick of the lighting while they were filming it, but I don't know, like all the things sort of, it popped more and they were darker, and they kind of, the bioluminescence kind of popped a little bit more with the Disney World version than Land. I don't know if I'm crazy on that, but it's kind of.
I don't remember.
Think of Disneyland as kind of like the prototype, and Disney World was the one where they,
That's what I'm saying, right? That's exactly it. It's kind of the vibe I get from it.
So, of course, the new scenes they added, we had Rob, do you want to go through this?
You mean like, say, the staircase and such, or?
Yeah, because I don't know it as well as you do.
Oh, you mean like just the general differences?
The general differences once you get on the ride, yes.
Yeah, so aside from the different foyer, once you're on the ride, well, instead of just going up a staircase in the middle of some dark room with a wall that has fog projected on it, instead, you pass under a landing with a floating candelabra, and then you go down a hallway which now has the changing portraits from Disneyland. Then you go through a library that has the busts, and then a piano with the shadow cast on the ground of somebody playing it. And then you go up the staircase past all these MC Escher-esque staircases.
I love the Escher stairs. I love them.
Yeah, and then there's like these eyes in the dark that are staring at you, and they become the wallpaper. And then pretty much the same, except then Little Leota. And then Little Leota is part of the ride. And then you exit on ground level.
Okay. I was actually stuck on the graveyard section for quite a bit when the ride got stuck. The ride got stuck when I went on it at Disney when I went on my trip last year.
Yeah, it does that.
Yeah, and I was stuck in the Grim Grinning Ghosts area.
Yeah, I got stuck in the library this most recent time.
I'd love to be stuck in the the ballroom. I'd love to.
You know, I was watching.
Still have yet to get stopped in front of Hatbox Ghost.
I believe we've gotten stopped like a couple dune buggies down from the Hatbox Ghost where he was still visible.
I think that happened when you went on the Haunted Mansion Holiday, right, Tiki?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know it's like a recurring thing where it's the ride stops, just happens to stop. But I gotta tell you, I think depending where you stop, it could actually kind of help the ride in places. It has kind of the ominous thing where you have the narrator saying, "We've experienced the problem." You know, of course, like boom, boom, boom. And it's like then the ride starts moving. It's kind of like puts you a little unease. It puts you at some unease.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And
I think the Haunted Mansion is one of, if not the best Disney rides to get stopped in.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Plus, it's like not a full-on stop. Like you're not gonna get evac'd. It's just,
Exactly.
yeah.
And there's always
We
something.
just need to help some people get on or something.
And there's always something going on.
Yeah. Like, I honestly can't think of a bad place to get stuck in the Haunted Mansion.
Maybe in a spot where you're just looking at some blank wall.
There you go.
Or like, or like you're just going up the story, just going up the incline.
Oh yeah,
Well,
maybe
yeah.
the ramp to down to the graveyard.
What would be worse? Right after you get in the, like right after you step in the car, or right before you step out?
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
right before you get, like right when you get on. That will be
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sandy, you mentioned the descent down into the graveyard.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so at all. You see, I love the perspective of the outside of the house and the ghost going up the ghost kind of flying over you. And I think it's really relaxing to be going that steep down backwards on a doom buggy in general.
That's pretty effective.
And you don't have a touch screen to decide your future.
Oh God.
That's actually pretty much where my ride stopped. I was in the graveyard. I was basically about to exit the graveyard and the ride stopped.
All right.
Okay, so let's get into the beat by beat of it all with Disneyland. Let's start with the outdoor queue. Of course, we have the pet cemetery, we have the creepy music, we have the
some well-maintained hedges.
yes.
Yeah, the hearse outside with the invisible horse, who I've nicknamed Mr. Dead.
That's funny.
Yeah, and the ghost relations sign is inside the hearse. Yeah, there he is with Dewey.
Wait, is it?
Yeah.
Wait, that same sign that was up on the
Not the same sign, but there is
that's-
something inside the hearse, that a little sign that says contact ghost relations.
It should be the same sign. It should be the same sign. Why isn't it?
Probably because the actual sign was massive.
Oh, was it? Oh.
Yeah, it hung down like the whole side of the fence.
Oh,
Yeah.
never mind. I thought it was printer paper size.
They could do the same wording, maybe.
Maybe. Anyways.
Okay, so one of the best differences between the one in Florida and the one in Disneyland for me is the fact that on Florida, at Disneyland, you actually get to walk onto the mansion's front porch and go in through the front door.
Kind of the front door.
What do you mean, kind of?
Well, you go. I mean, it looks like there's a door there, but no, that you don't go through there. You go through some door on the side.
Oh yeah, you're right. You do go through some door on the side. Yeah.
It's kind of like I think the one in Disney World, it's more like you enter through the side basement.
Like through a wall below the house.
I believe the one in Disney World is supposed to be a wine cellar that you're going into.
Or maybe servants' quarters or something. I don't know.
That makes sense considering it's a kind of like they're both kind of like modeled after plantation mansions.
Right. Okay, anything to say about the foyer? Obviously, with the foyer, we don't have the transforming portrait that we get in Disney
I actually
World.
like that we don't have it. It's a way of. Well, also, like I've said before, usually you don't get the full effect of it in Disney World because of how they timed that thing.
I'm kind of surprised.
Like the timing of it, and also it's more of a transition by not having it like here. It's more of a transition between the our world and the world of the mansion.
No, I agree. Actually, I do think it's a really fun effect when it works in Florida.
Oh,
but
yeah,
you're right. It is I feel like the stretch room is a perfect kind of transition point, and you can't really have creepy, mysterious stuff happening before the stretch room.
Yeah, besides the voice and music
Of course.
and cobwebs.
Of course, speaking of the voice, Corey Burton currently doing the Paul Frees impression of It's Great.
Haunted Mansion Holiday, not in the main ride.
Oh, really? They use the old recordings from the main rise.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, still, yeah, except for the keep your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside, it's Paul Frees.
Okay, so they still have a little bit of Burton.
And then, the new hands, arms, feet, and legs thing, it's famously not Corey Burton. It's the announcer from Freakazoid.
Oh my
God.
God.
Joe Leahy? Are you sure it's Joe Leahy? Because I tried looking this up. I'm sure about that.
I'm pretty sure about this.
That's awesome. I approve
If I
of
could
that
just say
choice.
one little
I
thing
think
here.
Okay, Sam.
I'm surprised we haven't mentioned
It-
Master Gracie yet. He's a pretty big part of the ride.
Oh yeah.
Isn't Master Gracie the ghost host though?
Yeah.
In some
That's why I bring it up.
interpretations, yeah.
Right. Well, Sandy, go ahead. Speak to it.
Oh no, I mean, we were talking about the man hanging from the banisters above the stretching room. I thought we were going to mention Master Gracie back there. I guess in some interpretations, I guess tied in with the movie, especially would it's Master Gracie. I'm not sure if it's canon or not, but
Is there any real canon story? This
No.
ride?
No, and there should never be. Unlike a certain other attraction in New Orleans Square that insisted on putting in a canon story. Anyways. All right, so we enter the stretch room. Of course, the big difference between the stretch room at Disneyland and Disney World is that the stretch room at Disneyland actually acts as a functional elevator.
Yeah, it actually has a purpose.
I remember for years I thought it was like an illusion. For years I thought it was like what the ghost host was telling you. That was just like it's your mind playing tricks on you.
In
But
Florida, it is an illusion, Dragon.
oh,
They're technically both illusions, just different illusions.
Well, in
Still-
Florida,
Well, I mean-
in Florida, the roof is
Well, I
going
mean,
up.
different in the sense that how it's accomplished.
Uh-huh.
well, regardless, it's a cool idea in the fact.
In Florida, the roof is going up. In California, the floor is going down.
Mhm.
Either way, it's still pretty cool. Again, I like that they cover their bases on like kind of that effect though. It's just it's neat.
I really love the stretching room gargoyles. They're one of my favorite pieces of Disneyland iconography.
And seriously, Paul Freezer, he had a lot of fun doing this ride and the recordings and everything. You can tell he's having fun. He's doing the other voices, did a lot of the press for the ride too, like a lot of the kind of the side characters,
I
the
love
Peter
that.
Lorre voice.
Yeah, gotta love that old radio ad where the ghost host is telling a kid a human story for bed.
Yes, I know. I love that. Basically, he explains the ride to her.
do you believe in humans? I don't know, but I do believe in Disneyland.
That line's great.
I'm just gonna while we're speaking of iconic pieces of Disneyland, especially Haunted Mansion, of the ride. I think it's amazing how what's it? They have those bat handlebars or something.
Oh, I
There's
love those
tensions.
things, Sandy.
I just think it's impressive how that it's so meticulously detailed, all these different aspects of the ride where everything you see is just iconic. They put
Yeah.
so much time and care into all of this. It's amazing.
That is a great way of describing this ride. Everything is iconic.
Yeah.
Everything. Pretty much everything.
Even the wallpaper is iconic.
Yeah.
That is true.
Literally.
Wallpaper is iconic. The eyes looking at you and everything. It is pretty.
Okay, shoot, there was one other thing I wanted to get into about the stretching room. Oh, yes. Public service announcement, folks. Don't be a quoter.
Yeah,
Order.
unless it's like some special event where you're in with a ton of Haunted Mansion fans, like say when Hatbox Ghost came back. In that case, it's more forgivable. That's not usually the case, though.
Bucky, describe what a quoter is.
You quote the ghost host.
It's so annoying. It is one of my-
He's giving his spiel. You're basically stealing.
It's
his
one of my
thunder.
biggest Disneyland pet peeves, and it happens almost every fucking time I go on that ride.
Really?
Yes.
What happened?
And then, of course, obnoxious screaming when the...
That I don't mind as much, but the quoting gets to me because you're talking over Paul Freeze. It's just straight up disrespectful.
Yeah, I remember,
Heresy.
like, when I was younger, my alternative to that was like, okay, you don't like... Okay, that's frowned upon. Fair enough. My alternative shall be lip syncing. Like the headcanon is that the ghost host is possessing me.
Oh my god.
Sure.
All right. Okay. So then we get to the portrait gallery, and this is an interesting difference between the Disneyland and Disney World version.
Yeah.
Because I first of all, I really like the outside windows in the
Right.
portrait gallery. It really kind of sets the mood, and it's a nice transitioning piece. Now, unfortunately, the loading area itself is maybe the one part of the ride that's not necessarily iconic.
What was that again?
The loading area.
Oh, okay.
Because it's basically just like green.
Oh.
Like
I wouldn't
ectoplasm.
say green, it's just darkness with a couple staircases and
Right. It's
that looks like fog. And some chandelier carpets, but yeah.
But Tiki,
It's
it's
not
the green,
much.
it's the green, it's the green that you need.
Mm.
God.
We are in New Orleans Square.
It's the green that I see. Okay, never mind. Sorry about that.
Okay, so let's see. Once you actually get on the ride, of course, you go up the staircase. You see the.
David is the ghost host. What would that be like?
That would be pretty sweet, but anyway, let's get back to the ride.
So you see the floating candelabra.
In
You
Florida.
see.
Oh, yeah, here too.
Yeah, here too. Here too.
The safety bar bit's always cool, by the way.
If I may, something that happened once when I was doing this, it was during holiday, but nevertheless, it was like ride starts, going up the staircase, and off on the left is some, like, woman ghost holding a parasol floating there and waving at the riders.
What?
Wait, what?
Huh.
Like, they had a cast member, like, dressed up as some ghost ladies, like,
Oh dear God,
hovering
that'd
up-
terrify me.
Where was
like
that?
hovering off to the side of the, like some Southern Belle or somebody with a
Wait a minute,
parasol.
is she
Like
supposed to be one of the girls from the portraits?
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
maybe not the same character, but kind of similar. So like just
Yeah.
kind of standing, like hovering there next to the staircase, waving at you.
That's a little bit terrifying.
Yeah, when was this? Like maybe 10 years ago?
That was during Haunted Mansion Holiday?
Yeah.
That's kind of strange.
That is strange.
Why would they have
I
a
don't know if
cast
it's-
member dressed up like that during Haunted Mansion Holiday?
I don't know.
Everybody
Was
needs
it?
work.
Because
Well, I remember, like, I never saw it in person, but there was video of like behind the exit, somebody dressed up as like some ghost mad scientist,
Huh?
like behind the exit of the ride.
Of a Dr. Finkelstein impersonator.
Then he gets his glasses back from you, and then when you wake up, he just says, boo.
Roger.
Okay, back to the ride.
Yes.
All right,
So then we enter
We've
the.
gone upstairs, but then we don't go downstairs, so it's not as good as Tips and Dale's Treehouse.
Fuck!
For the folks at home who didn't quite get that, Tiki's upset right now.
You don't go downstairs? What's the point of having stairs if you don't get to go up and down them?
Well, yeah, the carriages do go downstairs to get to the load, so unless you're with a handicapped guest, you don't get to go down
That's
those stairs.
unforgivable. That's unforgivable.
Where is the ball pit? Where is the ball pit?
Well, to be fair, the whole joke of the Chippendales Treehouse is that there
the
never
ball
was a
pit
ball
is at
pit.
Space Mountain in Florida.
Oh God. I just think that we're in denial about there ever being a ball pit because Chippendales Treehouse is perfect in our minds.
Would now be the appropriate time to talk about the little boats, little motor boats.
No! Not the boats! Unless it's the gummy bears when they were on them. Like when there was the gummy bear motorboats. Otherwise, no.
Here and there and everywhere.
I'll say
They're
my
the
gummy bears stood during the
bears.
tracks and ran for another time.
Okay. So the conservatory. Anything to say about the conservatory? I think it's an interesting set piece.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of one of the more understated set pieces of the attraction.
Yeah, simple but still creepy.
Of course,
It's
the
kind of
coffin.
overlay.
And of course,
The
I love
coffin is probably one of the creepiest parts of the whole attraction. I think.
It's pretty
And of course,
scary.
I love, like, just scenery-wise, I love the, like, dead, foggy forest behind the windows.
Oh yeah, for sure.
For sure.
It's a forest. It's foggy and dead.
Monkey, can you take us through some of this while I answer a phone call?
Yeah, so we're going backwards at this point, and for some reason, because it's an omnimover, it can. And we go backwards through a hall,
I
and
love the hallway.
doors are like the door knockers are rattling and handles are shaking, and you hear ghosts saying they want to get out. And in the past, the ghost host would say that they're having trouble getting through in the
corridor of doors.
Yeah, but the ride moves too fast for that narration to be there. I mean, it's popped up again at least once, but no, it's.
I gotta tell you, I don't know.
And in Disneyland, there's a tiny drop in there for some reason in the corridor of doors towards the end.
Something about the corridors. We have that grandfather clock with like the melted pendulum and like the fast moving minute hand and everything, and you have like that shadow that comes across. And I gotta tell you, I'm convinced like it's a POV thing. It's like a ride POV thing because it looked really underwhelming and unimpressive compared to like the Disney World version. I have to be convinced it's just like a trick of the lighting or something, because it's the same exact thing they're doing, but only one looks a lot better.
I don't remember if it's the pendulum and or the hands on the clock, but there's some differences with that between the two coasts, like what the design is, but otherwise,
yeah. All right.
I love that. My question is, why are there door knockers inside of the house?
I don't know. I mean,
why is there?
I would assume people still want a little privacy, even when they're ghosts.
Well, they lock themselves from the inside.
Why is there a graveyard?
Why can't they phase through the doors? Why can't they?
They might be stupid, Monkey. You never know. Some of them might be stupid.
Why is there a graveyard?
They got killed after all. Maybe they were mishaps.
What are you saying, Jacob?
It's like, why is there a graveyard inside the house?
Well, no, that's on the outside of the house.
Yeah, you go out the balcony and.
I know, but it's still technically inside the house.
It's inside the show building. It's outside of the house.
Okay, you guys are missing the point.
Well,
it's logic.
And it also looks like a couple of the doors are breathing, and there's also a portrait of supposedly the guy hanging in the stretching room.
Maybe they possessed the doors.
I mean, it happened in Alice in Wonderland. If there's a talking door in Alice in Wonderland, why not here?
Exactly.
Right. So we passed the clock, and then Madame Leota, which we don't know about this anymore because of, again, missing ghost host narration, is helping summon the spirits to socialize, and she's talking in rhyme and floating. Her head's in a crystal ball, and there's instruments and stuff floating, and some green thing against one of the walls. But
is that gone from the Disneyland version now, the narration?
It's been gone for ages. Like, perhaps Madame Leota can help. She has a whatever ability things.
That's a shame. Because
there's like those little bits of like everything between between that and, because like the way it is now, there's a big gap between the endless hallway narration and the ballroom narration. And like earlier in the ride's history, there was narration throughout the stuff about how like the ghosts want to meet you, but they can't get through, so Madame Leota's gonna help. Like spread out throughout there. And
Rob, I'm glad you're mentioning this because I remember it from the soundtrack to the attraction.
Yeah, and I know like there was one year like where after holiday the stuff like for the corridor of doors was back in the ride. Not the Leota part, but the other two bits were there. Briefly.
I wonder if it just gets turned off by accident.
Well, I think it's also like the ride moves too fast for them to play now. Like because of the to get more riders through.
That could be.
This is going to sound really obvious, but like a very obvious observation. But I mean, I just love how hostly the ghost host is. You know, like he's got that flair saying like, "Hey, okay, everybody, let me get those lap bars for you." And then down the line here, it says, "Maybe Madame Leota can help." He's being hostly. Again, it adds like kind of that guided, a tour guide element to the ride, which is kind of something you need.
And here on your right, you'll see some people using a flash photo, even though I said not to before you get on.
That reminds me of that time person used a freaking flash photo, like an extended flash on Roger Rabbit. Ticked me off. I had to tell him, turn the flash off.
Wait, Sandy, was I with you? I seem to remember that too.
Because I told you about it. Because
Right.
You were there in spirit, though, no pun intended.
Yeah, he's a dad and his son, and they were taking video with the flash.
I think that was the day I was at Hamilton.
Yeah. I had to tell him to turn the flash off. It was annoying. Anyways, don't do that in Haunted Mansion, folks, if you're thinking about it.
Don't do it at Hamilton either, Madonna.
Oh, God, really? Really?
Something like that.
Oh, Jesus.
Back to Madame Leota here. I always love the floating instruments, and they still, again, no matter how hard Eddie Murphy tries, they're never going to look as good as they do in this ride. The floating.
Okay,
instruments.
thank God that an Eddie Murphy animatronic didn't get added to this scene, because that's where the Eddie Murphy animatronic probably would have gone.
Probably, yeah.
I just don't get why they would.
So instead, they put him at Universal as a meet and greet.
Oh my God. Jim Evers Realty for Evers and Evers.
What if they put a Mushu animatronic in the ride? We can have the best of both worlds. It's Eddie Murphy, but he's not the movie character.
If they had, I'll tell you this: if they put Mushu on one of the cards she has during Haunted Mansion Holiday, I wouldn't mind that.
Oh, I wouldn't mind that either.
Yeah, that would be more subtle than the Mushu kite on Small World.
Yeah.
Mushu, what are you doing here? I'm here to save Christmas.
The ancestors wanted me to come check on their cousins.
I would like that, though.
George Takei is the ghost host.
Oh my!
How about
BlueDragonFive
was
mortals.
All right, anyway.
And then, yeah, and of course, so interesting how, it's the Madame Leota, the face is somebody and the voice is somebody else.
So it's like a projection, right? It's like a projection onto a mannequin, basically, right?
Kind of. Like, I think the way it used, I think now the projector is inside the head or something.
Oh,
maybe.
Okay.
And like in the past, it used to be like projected onto the thing, and like as you came around to the other end of the room, you could see the projector like under the carriages.
I remember that.
Yeah, so then like for when they made her float around, it became more of like an internal projection or something.
Gotcha.
It's really interesting how that works.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of.
But yeah, the face of the real Leota.
Yeah.
Who wants cake?
All right, so then we get to the grand centerpiece of the attraction, the ballroom. My God, folks, we don't have time to break this down detail by detail, but holy crap, what a tour de force of set design and audio
and a drunk ghost
animatronics.
under a table.
20,000 Leagues, Oregon.
Pepper's Ghost.
20,000 Leagues, Oregon, yeah.
My personal favorite is the dueling portraits.
Yeah.
I already made a Hamilton joke with that earlier, so. And yeah, ghosts dancing the wrong way because, we didn't realize how we had a hiccup because of Pepper's Ghost, but whatever, that's how ghosts are.
I mean, it's a feat of creativity. It's a feat of artistry. It's one of the most iconic set pieces in any Disney attraction.
Yeah, don't you love the holograms?
Or pretty much any theme park attraction in the whole.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I said, it's a tour de force. I think tour de force is the word that
Mystery Lodge popped into there, like he appeared in there.
Oh God! All right, first of all, Monkey, way to kill the mood, but
and then like he's like, and the Raven's in that room too, so he interacts with the Raven. Like,
oh my God! Oh
Raven,
my God!
you trickster!
Oh God damn! Oh man! Oh God damn, Monkey!
I am proud of this connection.
Oh, anyone who hasn't been to Knott's Berry Farm is not going to get this.
Right, let's
that would be so like kind of. Would that be kind of inconsiderate, like him realizing, my time to die has not come when he's surrounded by ghosts?
Is this something with Saturday Joe? Is that what it is?
No. It's the Mystery Lodge. Ezra, we did it.
Oh, yeah.
You remember the Mystery Lodge, right?
Oh, yeah. That's
yeah. Right. All right. Great experience. Can't wait to do it in a week from yesterday, actually.
Yay! Hey.
Yep. Oh, I'm so excited. Anyways, So yeah, I mean, we could just sit here and talk about. We could literally probably do a whole podcast on like, all right, guys, the dueling portraits ghosts. What are their
And
backstory?
there's Pickwick, the only other character with a name besides Leona.
No, I love the Egyptian couple. The Egyptian
Oh,
couple
yeah.
on the chandelier.
Uh-huh.
Now, those are some party animals right there.
Okay, so then we get into the attic, and I gotta say, this is one of the parts of the ride that, like, in theory, it's a really creepy idea. The portraits and all these people being murdered and everything. It's a really creepy idea. I just don't think in execution it plays well.
Yeah,
And I kind of miss the old, like, terrifying mannequin bride.
I never got to see the pre-Constance version in person,
I never got to either, Monkey, but I feel like it would be a lot more creepy than what's there now.
I mean, I'm cool not having as many jump scares in the ride, but yeah. Then again,
I don't think the old Constance was a jump scare. I just think he was a lot more atmospheric.
I meant the ones popping up. I meant the pop-ups that used to be in there.
Oh,
right. Good brides named Constance.
You know, I don't remember seeing Constance on Haunted Mansion Holiday.
No, she's
not in Haunted Mansion Holiday.
I was gonna say I would have remembered that. I have no
Yeah.
memory of that.
And that's actually, the attic is like my least favorite room in both Haunted Mansion Holiday and the original Haunted Mansion, oddly enough. Because I count the Hatbox Ghost as kind of like the balcony area.
Yeah. Technically, he was just standing outside the balcony, not out
Right,
the balcony,
right.
in the audiobook. And the kids got scared off the balcony. So, if we're going, technically, quote unquote canon material here.
Okay, but we've already talked about that moment where you descend down into the graveyard, and honestly, that might be my favorite moment in the whole ride.
Yeah.
Back to the attic. The piano player is a nice touch.
That is really cool.
Let me ask you this, Tiki: is the Doom Buggy programming? Is it programmed differently for Haunted Mansion Holiday? Because I remember when you see Jack Skellington, it's not programmed differently?
No, because Jack Skellington's in the same. He's in the same place that the Gravedigger would be.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. That's why I said before it wouldn't be a very interesting place to.
Yeah, I think the only time they've ever changed the rotation is when they brought Hatbox back.
Okay.
All right, so we head to the balcony and we see the Hatbox Ghost and all of his Hatboxy glory.
Which, of course, we've talked ad nauseum about.
Really cool, creepy design, really fun gimmick. I just love the hat gimmick, honestly. I just love the fact that of all the things he could be a ghost of, it's hat boxes. I don't know what it is. I just like that.
And then we descend down into the graveyard. One of the theories is that you actually die in this moment.
Ah, that is
Yeah, I remember reading something like where some version of the story that a Disney tour guide told at Disney World was like, you go up to the attic and you see the bride, and then you become her ghost, and that's why the caretaker is scared.
You see the red
that's why the caretaker is scared, and that's also why it's the first time the graveyard is the first time that the ghosts are directly interacting with you.
See, when you go down, the red-eyed raven actually judges your soul and determines your fate on the way down. Anyway.
Creepy.
Yes.
All right, then we get into the graveyard. The graveyard is another kind of tour de force, if you will. I still don't know exactly how they do it because it's like a mix of scrims and audio animatronics. And I assume there's some projections involved. It's one of those things where I don't
think
really.
Like some of the like the ghosts that are flying when you reach the edge of the balcony, like you get those projected, and then you get some of them projected in the back of the scene, but of the graveyard. But otherwise, yeah, scrims and animatronics.
I was pretty disappointed when I got to the graveyard in Haunted Mansion Holiday because they have that giant screen.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that either, Sandy.
And I was like,
how do you mean?
I can't even see the graveyard. There's a giant screen in the way.
Well, I think you mean like just throughout the graveyard, the scrim?
Yeah, he's talking about the scrim, yeah.
Well, I think the scrim that's the scrim that's normally there. Maybe it's just more obvious because of the lighting.
I think it's more obvious because of the lighting. I think that's the problem.
It's all the white reflecting off of it.
Yeah.
The snowflakes coming down just makes everything very difficult to see from a distance.
But on the bright side, cats.
I
Both
heard
New
a
Orleans
really
attractions have cats in them.
there is kind of a ghostly detail about the section of the ride. Just to go back for a moment about the caretaker and the dog. The dog's actually based on Walt's dog from childhood. So kind of put a ghost dog in the attraction.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I never knew
Then
that.
you also got that demonic ghost dog in the near the
Yeah.
king and queen.
Yeah, it's kind of like a little bit. Okay, there's him alive, and maybe there's him dead. Who knows? Also, I love it when you get to the outside, you kind of hear it ambient in the background, grinning ghost. And of course, once you're in the big fray of it, then you hear the lyrics, but it has the melody playing, and
Yeah.
get you all in the again kind of the more lighthearted yet still kind of creepy visuals. But again, that song, from what I understand, that was the big compromise to the end of the big funny, scary war. That was kind of the compromise. Well, okay, this song.
Yes, that song was absolutely. That's why it's probably widely regarded as the best Disney park song.
The ceasefire.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's see. We got all sorts of great stuff. We got the teeter totter. We got the skeleton hound. We got the bust. The bust.
I like the nanny.
The who?
Yeah.
The nanny.
The nanny.
Isn't she in this scene? She's like knitting.
Oh, it's in the ballroom.
Oh, you're right. My bad.
Yeah, I like her too, though.
Yeah. I'm pretty partial to the trio of the Headless Knight and the Executioner and the Prisoner myself.
You know, when we
For
were talking,
like those five.
Yeah.
I guess you can include the opera singers with that too. Like that little section, I'm partial to them.
I like the what's it? The little dwarf sipping tea out of the coffin.
Yeah.
And when we were talking,
that was
about
like a wine or something, wasn't it?
The what?
Isn't it wine?
I think he's sipping out of a teacup. Maybe he's drinking.
Yeah,
wine.
maybe I think it's maybe it's the ghosts at the table and the mummy who. No, wait, the ghosts at the table have wine.
Yeah. If I saw there's a little dwarf who's sitting in a coffin that's come out of a carriage. He's sipping tea with a couple others. There's a picture up on Google of the lights turned on, and it was a close up of the mummy. Wow, do those characters just look like utter crap when they're not under that light?
right.
I do want to
McDonald's
applaud
toys. I'm sorry, but it's just they just do. But Tiki, when you were talking about the sea captain,
yes,
boxing his wife in the fireplace, what was it?
That was it. Sandy locking his wife in the fireplace.
It seems like that kind of transferred over to the man cementing himself into the.
Oh, you're right, and that is a very light way to depict something like that. Yeah, good catch.
I want to applaud the use of a mummy because it's showing like all sorts of different forms of being dead or ghostly. It's kind of
nice. And it's an amusing gag as well with the old guy who can't hear.
Did they update the bus? Did they update the bus singing? Like, did they is it now projected on there? Where it was? I mean, I know it's like there's like a modern projection
of their faces.
I mean, did they redo the projection? Like, is it different now?
Florida made the projection a bit more seamless or something.
All right.
If they change the faces, that wouldn't be good.
No, it would not.
Yeah.
Although if they did change the faces, then everyone could quit mistaking Walt Disney, Thurl Ravenscroft for Walt Disney.
Well, I think it's great. Instead of just it's great.
It's great.
Disney sing out.
All right, and then of course we get to the hitchhiking ghosts.
Yeah, we also had one last appearance from the Raven as we enter the mausoleum.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Fun fact: the Raven is also switched out with the a demonic teddy bear during Haunted Mansion Holiday.
Yes, which is inspired by Mickey Mouse, by the way. The vampire teddy bear is based on.
Which is inspired, and Mickey Mouse was inspired by a failed rabbit.
Yes. All relative. It's all etymology at its finest, folks. So it's.
So yeah, hitchhiking ghosts.
What's the tallest one's name? The skeleton. What's his name again?
Ezra.
Exactly.
Tiki, perhaps we could see those ghosts.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right.
don't think it's like officially their names, but it's generally accepted or something.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it got me a sticker that I gave to Tiki a couple of years ago.
I know they had the name on the Funko Pop, and I got a pin with Ezra on it. It had his name underneath. So I guess that's like the not the official name, but the fan base accepted.
Yeah.
The stunt double's name. It'll work. No, I'm kidding. It's alright. But yes, the hitchhiking ghost. This is a cool idea. What do you guys think?
I love it.
My question is, why are they on a black block?
What do you mean?
Like, if you look, they're on top of some black platform.
Oh yeah.
They gotta stand somewhere.
What, the ground isn't good enough?
Do you want to stand on? What if it was raining? When
It's
you want
undercover. This is inside a crypt.
All right, fine, Mr. Semantics, fine.
Besides, how much would a ghost be affected by rain? Like, wouldn't it go right through them, or does it make them melt
It would go
somehow?
through 'em, but you know what? It would be irritating. It's like it wouldn't affect them. It's like, oh man, I'm stuck in the ring.
Maybe.
It's just kind of disrupting my form, but I'm not wet. It's just disrupting my form. It's like a fly buzzer. I don't want to deal with that.
What if there's ghost rain?
There could be ghost. Exactly, it could be dead rain. You don't know.
You know, these hitchhiking ghosts often just put me off for some reason. It's not because they look creepy. It's because you see them up close, unlike the other ones, so you can see all how they're like covered in garbage bags or whatever.
Apparently, according to the wiki I found, apparently they do have semi-official names.
Yeah, Ezra, Phineas, and Gus.
Semi-official.
But yeah, the hitchhiking ghosts, they're iconic. They're cool.
Yes.
And then
There's the Hall of Mirrors. Yeah, you kind of take a little visitor home with you.
which Florida has played with to mixed results, I'd say.
Which for what?
So when you pass by so of course in Disneyland you have a physical ghost reflection in the mirror, like behind that. So in Florida, what they do instead, it's not physical ghosts anymore. Instead, it's CGI ghosts that play with your head.
Yeah, that's right. I remember it sometime back in 2012 or something. I think I'm not sure if it was Disneyland or Disney World. They had to take the hitchhiking ghosts that you actually see that are asking for a ride. They had to take those out and replace them temporarily with a digital effects.
That was Florida.
Yeah,
that was when they were working on this like special effect with them playing with your head.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't like that. I'm not sure that I like the 3D stuff. It just doesn't work well within the confines of the mansion. How dated it is.
I mean,
I have a good PSA about not picking up hitchhikers at the end of the day. It's kind of nice.
Okay, guys. Honestly, this is the portion of the podcast where we were going to talk about Haunted Mansion Holiday, but I feel like we've been talking about that throughout the podcast, and we're already kind of going on an hour and a half, so we don't have to go beat by beat on it or anything. I personally am not a huge Haunted Mansion Holiday fan, actually.
The only thing I have to add is that that doesn't show up at the Florida attraction at all.
May have many, but it makes it a specialty Disneyland.
Yeah, I like it. I really, I think it's, again, I haven't ridden it personally, but I mean,
the arguments against putting it in Halloween time are perfectly valid. I get why people don't care for.
I think August is a little fucking much.
Let's not open in August. It closes in August.
That's what I'm saying. I think closing a regular mansion in August is a little much.
Okay, fair enough. And yeah, it's totally valid reasoning, but somehow, for some reason, it doesn't bother me too much. Like, I still quite enjoy Haunted Mansion.
You're a big Haunted Mansion Holiday fan, and yet you're also a big, no Christmas before December guy.
Yeah, this is like my one exception to that kind of thing. Well, more so in the Halloween sense. Like, fine, it's the one Halloween thing I'll do in September. But otherwise,
I was pretty disappointed when I realized that I wouldn't be able to ride the Haunted Mansion when I went back after 8 years in October. last year. I'm not a huge fan of it. I like the original mansion a lot better, but it's a refreshing little take on Haunted Mansion. I think it lasts.
And it's Nightmare Before Christmas. That's fun.
We all like that. So
Tim Burton was apparently in love with this as well, and like he bought all the merchandise.
I just think it looks great. I think it's it's well executed. We have like the it's kind of like the bioluminescence really pops like the Burton designs. It's just kind of tailor made for like kind of doing like an exploratory ride about Nightmare Before Christmas, and we just kind of have them.
And it was also the first version of the ride I actually went on.
At
one point, I tried, like when I was young, I tried doing the mansion, and then stretching room was too freaky for me, so I didn't do the actual ride.
And I like that Jack Skellington. He's kind of doing Christmas at the wrong time yet again. That's kind of what the ride's about. It's just like he's kind of like it's like doing Halloween at Christmas. In this case, he's doing Christmas on like a big kind of Halloween centric ride. It's kind of fun.
Except when you ride it at Christmas.
Oh sure, but I don't know. It's still it's like basically saying bring Christmas to the Haunted Mansion. It's still kind of fun too.
Something else that's refreshing about it is that they're constantly adding new effects and new characters in, like Sally or like the refurbished Jack.
Kind of.
Screen.
I really like the ending with Sally at the end, just instead of the the hostess. It's like saying goodbye to you on the way out. That's nice.
Yeah.
I think they really need to update the attic.
I think so too. I like the giant snake though.
Yeah.
I would put Finkelstein's lab in the attic. I think Finkelstein is the one character that needs more representation in Haunted.
That's a good idea, because we only see Finkelstein that one time, like in the ceiling, don't we?
What? Yeah, he's in the load and one of the tarot cards. And on one of the tarot cards.
I feel the conservatory is the best. I think they improved the conservatory in Haunted Mansion Hollywood, with the exception of it's more compelling. They have a body in the coffin. Don't get me wrong, but I think everything else, you make the most of. Like you have the man-eating plants, you got the reef. You have I think it makes better use of the greenery of all that.
And of course, the man-eating wreath is kind of a personal meme of this group.
Yeah.
Someone mentioned here a second ago putting Finkelstein's lab in the attic. Was that you, Tiki?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the reason why they don't do that is because this is more of Jack's taking over the mansion. And I think Finkelstein moving his entire lab there would be a bit much.
That makes sense.
But I think
house.
they should put a Finkelstein animatronic in the graveyard or the attic.
I wouldn't mind seeing more Halloween Town residents in the graveyard.
Even if they're static figures. I mean, Sally's not static, but I wouldn't mind seeing like
the mayor, switching faces.
Yeah, stuff like that. The mayor, Harlequin, I don't know, the snake finger guys.
The corpse family.
Yeah.
The band, Wolfman.
Ooh, the band would be perfect in the graveyard.
Yeah. No, you just have a cutout of them in one of the portrait hall windows.
Yeah,
that's all there is of that.
They should. They should replace the ghosts that are in there now, the bagpipe guys, with the band, the Nightmare Band. That'd be great.
Or maybe they're playing alongside them.
Yeah, alongside them.
I think the pumpkins are cute. I like that we see the hill covered in snow with the pumpkins, and the pumpkins are singing like other kind of Christmas songs.
The pumpkins are just jammed over the bus.
All right, guys. I think we're about reaching our end here. Any final thoughts?
I mean, the one downside to it being a ride you can go on over and over is that it can get a little, routine or whatever. But even despite that, it's still a classic attraction in theme park history. Well, a well-deserved classic.
It's a masterwork, and I think it's basically a step beyond any other attraction in Disney history because of just the mythology surrounding it and the backstory and how the backstory and the urban legend is kind of one and the same. It's just it's got this crazy kind of cult following to it. It's got this this culture surrounding it, this mythos surrounding it. It's like the one theme park attraction that is also a myth, I think. And I think that's pretty damn cool.
Yeah, I'd say technology or presentation wise, the closest it's gotten to being replicated is Forbidden Journey. But it each has their own elements. means that I just said. But yeah, Haunted Mansion was there first.
And Forbidden Journey's IP and Haunted Mansion's original. So as much as I love Forbidden Journey.
Yeah, and Forbidden Journey is a thrill ride, so
right,
with a height requirement.
Yeah. And a weight requirement.
Something like that. A size requirement.
Yeah.
You mind if I share a kind of silly young monkey story?
If it doesn't take too long.
Okay, I'll try not to. So, of course, like I said, the ride the queue freaked me out a bit too much the first time. So I was like, no, it shouldn't be the Haunted Mansion. They should change it into the Funny Mansion. Like it was like silly inside. Like instead of the stretch room, you're in some glass elevator where you rise and characters would poke out of doors and stick their tongues out at you, and the cars would look like a clown. I mean, of course, now that I have more perspective, it's a good thing that didn't happen. But the mind of a child.
Oh yes.
I of course was too scared to go on the Haunted Mansion as a little boy, so I missed.
As was I. I'm glad we can all kind of bond over that. All right, guys, let's wrap this up. Final thoughts. Come on, chop chop.
All right. For me, looking into this ride, it's got a really interesting backstory. I was really impressed by. I like the myth, the history and the myth surrounding this is very interesting. Especially this Raleigh the Crump guy. The Raleigh Crump. He sounds like very. I like how he's tied into Walt. I like kind of how he's kind of like the guy the notator of the creation of kind of historian, keeper of the myth for Haunted Mansion. That's kind of nice. If he kind of told
it's a myth. Yes.
Yeah. Little Carol Kane. Anyway, so Hell's. I love that we had this. You shared the story that there was a Hell Angels biker guy during a Q&A or doing it came up to him once and he loved the ride and he loved the more so he loved the mechanisms of the ride. This is like an imagine you're through and through type guy. Like he loved everything. He loved everything about it. He just came up to him like a fanboy. This giant imposing biker came up to him like a fanboy and just shows the effect the ride has on people. And I gotta tell you, man, I love the On the Mover. I love. I like the familiarity of the ride, and it carves that familiar niche. Again, it kind of evokes Halloween and everything but name, and it's so befitting. It's dialed into it's dialed into Disney, and it's kind of dialed into the consciousness. When you think of a haunted house or a haunted mansion, or just kind of a ghost story of ghosts inside of a big building, like the kind of Scooby-Doo plot you've seen over and over again. Like the second thing you think of, if not Scooby-Doo, is going to be Disney or vice versa with Haunted Mansion. It's a blast. It's great. I'm glad that Disney can always boast that it has the Haunted Mansion, and we reinvent it from time to time. We switch things up, and we do the things like Haunted Mansion, a holiday, and it's just the fact that we're gonna, they're gonna keep switching up. They're gonna keep adding on to it. They're gonna keep making these little tweaks, and maybe it's not perfect quite yet. All these tweaks they're making, but you know what? It's fun that they kind of keep it going. They keep kind of the celebration of such a beloved ride going. That's nice.
And they care about it enough to do so.
Yeah.
Well, folks, that's the end of. Oh, I'm sorry, Jacob. Final thoughts on your end? My bad.
Well, I can't really say much of that you guys haven't said already. It's just that it's nice to see that this is one thing that Disney has in pop culture that will probably never fade from existence. It's they pretty much have an uprising on their hands if they ever got rid of it or made any major changes to it other than the overlays. But it's nice to it's Disney has this place in pop culture, and one of the things you even think of when you think of Disney World or Disneyland in general is the Haunted Mansion. I mean, Haunted Mansion is just has basically earned its place in pop culture.
Mm-hmm. It's just become its own thing apart from Disney.
Yeah.
In a sense, its appropriate sense.
I just have two questions. One, the house isn't really for sale, and two, we're only here because that ghost guy wants to get jiggy with my wife.
Look, a peach.
Ah!
Because why not?
All right. Well, folks, that's the end of tonight's selection, and our spirits grow weary, but they'll be stronger than ever next time as we engage in even more haunted holiday hijinks.
Freakazoid. And a couple of tra-la-las.
It's an acorn that's also light.